Are brain of men and women different? Let's see. Women's are work of art on the outside as on the inside. I'm a neurologist and I focus on inside, especially on the woman's brain. There are many theories that how women brain are different from men's brain. Look at the connection of the brain. The male brain, the most connections run from front and back on the same side of the hemisphere, which is responsible for their better spatial skills. Spatial means related to space or sense of direction and motor control. Whereas the female brain, the neural connections runs from side to side across the left and right hemisphere, which account for their better verbal skills and intuitive abilities. Male brain, they have more gray matter, 6.5 times more gray matter, so they have a faster information processing system. Female brain, they have more white matter, so they are better at integrating information, especially the language. Coming to the neurochemistry, the male brain, they have low serotonin and oxytocin, so that makes them little bit more impulsive. The female brain, they have larger hippocampus, so they are better at memory. Coming to the intelligence, male have a better spatial and mechanical function, whereas the female brain, they have a better verbal and emotional intelligence. Diving deep into the different part of the brain, coming to the prefrontal cortex, which is the area just behind the bump of your forehead, which is considered as the CEO of your brain, your reactionary mind, but which also process the anger, fear, and aggression. In female, it is slightly bigger and matures 2 years before male. So it's less easy to make them angry. Frontal cortex, which is responsible for our decision making abilities and executive function. And the frontal cortex is slightly fatter and more complex in female. And females are hardwired for better decision making and problem solving. The anticingulate cortex and insular cortex, these are the area responsible for what we feel inside our body. And they're larger in female, and that is responsible for their gut feeling and their intuitive hunches. Amygdala, which is almond shaped, and the center for fear and threat detecting. In a study, when women were showed a horror film, their left side of amygdala lightened up, and which pays attention to details and internal thoughts. When men saw the same, the right side of amygdala activated and associated with action to the external environment. Hippocampus, which is brain memory center, are larger in female, so women have better memory for both pleasant and unpleasant issues. They never forget a fight, a romantic encounter, or tender moments, and they won't let you either. Now, there is a especially a relatively newer type of neuron system known as mirror neuron system, which are group of specialized neuron that mirror the action and behavior of others. It is first recognized in monkey in 1990s, and it is implicated in empathy, language, and social cognition. The area responsible are inferior frontal gyrus, lower part of precentral gyrus, rostral part of the inferior parietal lobule, temporal, parietal, and occipital, that is visual cortex. And according to some studies, they are better developed in female. So females are more empathetic than male. Now coming to the male brain is 9% bigger than female brain. But male and female share a same amount of neuron. So in female, the neurons are more densely packed. Now coming to the parietal cortex, which is responsible for spatial and somatosensory perception, they are bigger in male, so they have a better spatial intelligence. Hypothalamus is slightly bigger in male, which controls body temperature, hunger, thirst, and sexual drives. Men are constantly bombarded with sexual images that flicker in their visual cortex all day and night. Amygdala, which is known as fight or flight center, and these are the alarm system for threat, fear, and danger. They're larger in male, and because of that, the male are more likely to have short fuses and driven by physical actions. Now, other interesting area is ventral tegmental area. This is the motivation center of brain, and it manufactures dopamine along with substantia nigra pars compacta. Dopamine, which is a feel-good neurotransmitter for motivation and reward, but also a site for addictions to drug, alcohol, and other abusive substance. And that is why the male are more prone to have addictions to alcohol and other abusive substance. Now, I'm not sure about who is behind this craziness, but scientists have discovered a gene responsible for infidelity. Yes, infidelity gene. A variant of vasopressin receptor gene and length of that could account for 40% of cheating behaviors. So we have just talked that male brain is slightly bigger than female brain. So is bigger really better? Does size matter? And the answer is no. The elephant have much bigger brain, but we human can control with our intelligence. So most of the study concluded that male and female brain are almost equal, with some subtle differences that defines their different behavior. But it is not that one is better than other. So the message is clear that male and female brain are almost equal in terms of intelligence and other cognitive abilities. But it turns out that male and female brain age differently. And menopause play an important role in this. Brain have a very good interaction with the reproductive system. Interactions are mediated by hormones, and we know that hormones differ between the genders. Men have more testosterone and female have more estrogen. But there's a difference in their longevity. Men's testosterone does not run out until late in life, whereas the female estrogen start fading in midlife during menopause. We associate menopause with ovaries, but when women say they have hot flashes, night sweats, insomnia, memory lapses, depression, anxiety, those symptoms does not start in the ovaries. They start in brain. They are neurological symptoms. But why the brain impacted by menopause? Because the brain and ovaries are the part of neuroendocrine system, like a system where the brain talks to the ovary and the ovary talks back to the brain. Then we have estrogen receptors in our brain, and most of the receptors are located in the prefrontal cortex, thalamus, hypothalamus, amygdala, brainstem, and the cerebellum. So hormones like estrogen are not only involved in reproduction, but also in the brain function. And estrogen in particular, the estradiol, is really a key factor for energy production in the brain. At the cellular level, estrogen literally pushes neurons to burn glucose to make energy. So if your estrogen is high, your brain energy is high. To understand the effect of menopause on brain, there is a beautiful book by Lisa Mosconi, The Menopause Brain. According to this book, when your estrogen declines, your neurons start slowing down and age faster. And studies have also shown that this can lead to the formation of amyloid plaques also, or the Alzheimer's plaque, which are the hallmark of Alzheimer's disease. And these effects are stronger in the specific brain region, starting from hypothalamus, which is in charge of regulating the body temperature. So when estrogen does not activate the hypothalamus correctly, the brain cannot regulate body temperature correctly. So those hot flashes that women get, that's the hypothalamus. Then there is brainstem, which is in charge of sleep and awake cycle. So when estrogen does not activate the brainstem correctly, you have trouble sleeping. Or it's the amygdala, the emotional center of the brain, which is close to the hippocampus, the memory center of the brain. So when estrogen level declines in these regions, women start getting mood swings and forgetfulness. So that's the brain anatomy of menopause. Now this is the kind of brain scan known as PET scan. It looks at the brain energy level. Now this brain belongs to a woman who was 43-year old when she was first scanned before menopause. And this is the same brain just 8 years later in her menopause. So if you put them side by side, I think you can easily see that how the bright turn orange and almost purple. Now about the brain energy level. That's a 30% drop in the brain energy level. This just doesn't seem to happen to a man of the same age. For women, the brain energy is usually fine before menopause, but there is gradually a decline during the transition. And it looks like the woman's brain in midlife are more sensitive to hormonal aging. It's important. So many women have worried that they might be losing their mind, but the truth is that your brain is going through a transition that needs time and support to adjust. So as I mentioned that estrogen decline could potentially promote the formation of amyloid plaque or the Alzheimer's plaque. But there is another kind of brain scan that looks exactly on those plaques. And we can see there is a 20% increase in these plaques. But not all women with these plaques will develop dementia. But still, it's quite an insight to associate Alzheimer's with menopause. I know this is upsetting news and it's definitely a depressing news, but we need to talk about it because most women are not aware of these correlations. So how do we protect our brain? Would women should take hormones? And the shortest possible answer right now is that hormone therapy can be helpful to alleviate a number of symptoms like hot flashes and others, but it's not currently recommended for dementia prevention. Other thing that we can do to support our hormones and that do not require medication but do require taking a good look at our lifestyle. The food we eat, how much exercise we get, how much sleep we get or don't get, how much stress we have in our life. Those, those are the things that can actually impact our hormones for better and for worse. So there are many diet out there, but the studies have shown that Mediterranean diet in particular is supportive, supportive of women's health, which include vegetables, fruit, legumes, lentils, beans, whole grains, nuts and seeds, and even the seafoods, eggs, cheese, extra virgin olive oil with the avoidance of processed food. So women on this diet have a much lower risk of cognitive decline, of depression, of heart diseases, of stroke, and of cancer, and they also have a fewer hot flashes. And then the phytoestrogen, the estrogen from the plant, they can act as a small estrogen in your body, especially from the flaxseed, sesame seeds, dried apricots, legumes, and number of fruits, and even the dark chocolate contains phytoestrogen. So diet is one way to gain estrogen. Then the choline-rich foods like egg yolk, fish, red meat, milk products, they're rich in choline. And choline, we know, is a part of acetylcholine, the main neurotransmitter for memory. Other very important brain supplements are omega-3 fatty acid. They are two type. One is EPA and DHA. We can take either as a supplement or we can also obtain by white caught fatty fish like salmons and other seafoods. Stress can literally steal your estrogen, and that's because of the cortisol, which is the main stress hormone, so which work in balance with estrogen. So if the cortisol goes up, your estrogen goes down, and if cortisol goes down, your estrogen can back up. So reducing stress is really important. Other things which can improve your brain health. Now, exercises. I'm a big fan of HIIT exercises, that is high intensity interval training. See, we all know that exercises are good for our physical and mental fitness, but how many of us are doing on a constant basis? And what are the big excuses we have? The number one excuse we have is we don't have time. But this HIIT exercises is just for 5 to 20 minutes. The second point is our excuse is that we require gym or equipments, but HIIT exercises we don't require anything. Even if you're traveling, you can do it in your hotel rooms. And the third thing is that exercises are monotonous, it's boring. But the HIIT exercises, we have lot of variations, and uh, we can customize our exercise because it's a protocol, not a single exercise. So some examples are like 1 minute of sprint followed by 1 minute of rest, 2 minutes of jumping jack followed by 1 minute of rest, and then repeat the cycle. Then Tabata style, like 20 minutes of work and 10 minutes of rest, and repeat the cycle for just just 4 minutes. So the second thing is about VO2 max. These heat exercises increases and improve our VO2 max. VO2 max is how much oxygen your body uses while exercising. And VO2 max is the single most variable of your physical fitness. That means higher VO2 max means a better physical fitness. The other concept is about EPOC, that is excess post-exercise oxygen consumption, and that is responsible for burning extra calories even after workout, known as after burn effect. And it has seen that the epoch of HIIT exercises can match with the regular cardio exercises. That means it burns equal calories in both cardio and HIIT exercises. Now, the intermittent fasting, we know that during fasting, the liver produces ketone bodies, which help in increasing the BDNF, that is brain derived neurotrophic factor. Now, the sauna therapy and ice bath, they stimulate sirtuins, which have a very important role in sustaining the genome integrity and DNA repair. Then probiotics and infrared light are also very important for brain function. And last but not the least, our sleep. So adequate sleep is very, very important. This is a quote from Oprah Winfrey. And I wish sooner we should able to break the taboos around the menopause and also come up with a solution that actually work not just for the Alzheimer's disease, but for the woman's brain health as a whole. So I want to conclude with a slogan that brain health is woman's health. And these are my references. Thank you so much.